Welcome to our Introduction to Nvivo for Qualitative Analysis. This is created for course credit by Allison and Andrea. The first screen that you'll get to is you'll only see this the first time that you run Nvivo. Your initials will appear beside the coding work that you do, so be sure to enter something unique. This can be changed under File and Options after. When you first get to the screen of Nvivo, they have tutorials and sample projects to work through. For now, we're going to go on to Blank Project. Here is where you enter details about your project, and these can be changed later, but I recommend putting in a fair bit of detail here. That's something that I recommend with research because there's often times where you will walk away from a data set and then have to go back to it months to years later. And by having a fair bit of details, then you can help to prompt you as to what it was that you did or why you made certain decisions at the time. I'll show a demonstration of this in a moment, but just to walk you through how to navigate Nvivo, the top row has tabs and buttons like those found in most current Office suite programs. The grayed out buttons are for currently inaccessible features, and it allows you to import and organize your data. So there's the Files tab that will allow you to select and import any file. You can import multiple files at once. This confirms import and add details when you're prompted, including your file name. And to change the data file after creation, do a slow double click on it or right mouse click. And features for organization of the data files are found in the left-hand column. Nvivo can import files of multiple types. This can include text, such as lyrics or transcripts, images, videos, audio files, emails, spreadsheets, online surveys, social media posts, and it can be in virtually any language. Here are some examples of the file formats that it will accept. For organizing your data, you can use files and memos. Under the Data tab, you organize your material. Local material is saved under Files, and links to outside data is stored under Externals. Under the Memos tab, you can store classic memos such as ideas, reflections, copies of field notes, and annotations of material. So we'll just walk through a screen video here. So you see standard windows where you have your different columns of the information. You have the files along the top. You'll see some of the items are grayed out, which means that they're items that you can't actually do at the time. And right now it's because we don't actually have data imported in. So the first thing we want to do is import our data. So there's the different options of data that you can do, or if you go to input data, it will figure out the file type. Navigate to your file folder of interest and find your first file. So the first thing that we're going to put in is the album artwork of the top song from 2018, which was Perfect by Ed Sheeran. After you import your file, then you're going to get this information here. And again, I recommend putting in a fair bit of detail, depending on the information that you have, and also how long you're going to be working on this file. Again, if it's something that you could review years later, then it's helpful to have this information, or if multiple people will be working on this file. So I've now entered 2 pictures, and now we're going to enter the song lyrics that I have pasted in. And it just walks through wanting to confirm the file import. And then enter the description. And one of the ways that you can change is by changing it there, or if you wanted to change the file name, you can just do a double click and change it that way. So as a reminder, to navigate to open files and to transfer data, to open files, you're going to double click on the file to open, and then it opens the tab in the right-hand window. To copy the data to the new file, you highlight the desired area, and you right-click to bring up the menu, select copy, or use your keyboard shortcuts such as Control-C. And you can create or open a file where we'd like to enter the data, right-click and select paste, or use keyboard shortcuts such as Control-P. The menus also includes adding and removing codes, adding or removing from nodes, adding annotations, editing the text, exporting or printing the document, and cut, paste, and delete. And now I'm just going to walk you through demonstrations on how to navigate within the program. So when you double click on the files, you'll see that item appears to the right. And so the first one that I clicked on was the picture. And then there's all of my other files. And when you click on the next one, then you see the text. Now, what I want to do is I have both of the text files together here, and I don't actually want them represented that way when I'm doing my coding. So I'm going to copy and paste the 2017 out. I've already done this with the 2018 song. So I am copying that information, and just the standard way that you would using Windows or Mac, and I'm going to do a right mouse click. I'm going to click on copy. But while I have this open, you see some of the other options that you have when you do the right mouse click on your selected text. You could also do Control-C. Once you have that information in the clipboard, you're going to go over to your files and do a right mouse click, new file, new document, and then you can enter the file name. For purposes of this demonstration, I'm only entering the name, but for your actual research, I would recommend putting a fair bit of information in that description so that you or other people trying to analyze your data in the future understand where the data came from. And then you'll notice that there's all of these different tabs across the top of the page, and you can double click on either the file to the left or the tab at the across the top to navigate to the information that you want. And you see that each one opens, and if that file hadn't been opened, then it opens the new tab. For organizing the data with coding and nodes, Nvivo uses the term code as a verb, and you can code your data in various ways. The nodes are labeled themes or clusters of data, and Nvivo refers to them as containers to hold your data. You can add or delete nodes as needed. Nodes can be merged or nested under each other using themes and subthemes. And cases are nodes that represent your units of observation, such as participants or sites, and therefore you can track things like demographic data. Here are some examples of the coding in nodes used to organize data. And you can see how there's the sub-nodes under things like economy and how they're set up here. And then how many times that item was referenced and how many sources that information came from. Now we're going to walk through a coding demonstration. So you would select the file of interest and make sure that it's in the tab that's at the top. You would select the text that you want to look at, and you would select code, and then code again, and you'll get this pop-up. If you go down to the bottom, then you can say new code, and you can enter whatever you want to put in. Now during this screenshot, you'll see that I got this pop-up asking me to save my file because it had been 15 minutes, and that will just happen every 15 minutes while you're working. You go back and enter your node information, and say okay, and then you could go to the next section in your transcript, highlight the area, and I'm just going to demonstrate another method where if you do a right mouse click over the file, so you can either go back up there and code it into the recent codes, or you can highlight it again and do a right mouse click, code to recent nodes, and then find the one that you want. And then if you want to do a new one, again, I'm going to do the demonstration of the right mouse click, or you could have gone up and selected this code at the top. A new code, enter what you want it to say, and find the next item that you want to code under that. Right mouse click, and then you'll see that you have the two items. And then you can just navigate through all of the different types of files that you have and continue doing this with the codes that you have and creating new codes along the way. Now, after you've gone through and coded your data, there's a few ways that you can view it. So you'll see that I have these coding stripes. I'll talk about them in a moment. But if you go to highlight and highlight all of your nodes, then you'll see that it highlights everything in yellow. Unfortunately, one of the downfalls of Nvivo is that you can't see them in color. But if you go to the coding stripes and turn them on for your different levels of what you want, I just turned it to all, then you can see the different nodes that I've selected. And if you click on those items, so for example, it's chosen Let It Be as the purple, and if you click on this, double click on it, then you will see all of the times, all of the actual raw data together where it was represented. And then you can use your tabs and go back to your raw data. Again, double click, you'll get another tab that shows you the next node that you're looking for, and then you can export this information if you want. And there's all different methods that you can use to export it depending on how you want to represent your data. So you can export it as a Word document or PDF. So we're going to show you how to represent the data in visual ways, such as the word cloud, because I think it's a really easy way to learn how to navigate the program. So what you're going to do is open your desired data file as an active tab in the right-hand window, click on word cloud in the top row, select from the variety of visual options that you get. You're going to set and change your parameters, how for the data was sorted. The options are in the right-hand window, and then we'll talk about in the next slide how words can be removed from the list by adding them to the stop words list. And then you can click the Run the Query to change the ways that you have it represented. I'm now going to walk through how to create a word cloud. That black screen was just because of the PowerPoint that I have this embedded in. So you're going to select the file that you want to have, and you're going to go to word cloud. When you click on word cloud, it's going to automatically run the query. And these are the different color options. There's a few other options down here, but you see what it's done is it's pulled up the most frequent word, and the more common words are larger. And you can change the ways and then just rerun the query as you go through each of the steps. So if there's specific things that you want it to look at, then you can select that in here. And you see if I change the type of words so that it's the synonyms, then it's changed the words. And if you go to the list along the very right, you can see the actual words and the length and the count, and that represents why they're as high as they are. So this is also a useful tab to have if you are looking at specific words and how frequently someone used a word in their quote. And you can see that when you've changed it to the synonyms from everything, then it has changed the counts. And anytime that you want to make changes, you just select that run query again. And you can go back and there's the different trees and a cluster analysis, which we're not going to get into with this presentation. And now we're going to create a word cloud of Let It Be. So we just enter our words, and then you'll see that it has the word it'll. Obviously, that's a common word in the song, but we don't want it to be in our presentation or in our picture. So then we're going to go to Summary. We're going to click on that word. We're going to do a right mouse click, Add to Stop Words list, say OK. And rerun our query. And you'll see that the picture has updated without that word on it. So once you've created your word cloud, you can right-click on the image and you can say export the word cloud to save the graphic on your computer. Now you'll notice that on here it's reviewing the word darling because I actually did the right mouse click on the word darling, and so you can see whenever that word would be represented, or if there's other words or other phrases that you're looking to look at, this would help you back code to that information. Nvivo has many ways to visualize your data, looking at different graphs, at trees, and different types of charts. And then our questions to you is, do you use word art? And what methods do you use to represent your data? And thank you for listening to our presentation. And now you can include experience with Nvivo on your resume.